Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sprint 233 review. This is a normal 2-week sprint. Let's get started. I'll start with the overview, Jeffrey on the UI, Adam on providers, and Joe on the platform. As you can see, this week we had 97 PRs merged this sprint. Quick note, apparently our chart wasn't updating correctly. So last sprint, it was only showing 231, and that's why the numbers were all off. So this has now been fixed in these charts. And if we head over to the closed PRs by label, you can see it was a mostly tests, but some bugs and enhancements. And over to Jeffrey.
Thanks, Jason. So in this sprint, a total of 8 PRs got merged into the UI Classic repo, out of which 3 were for bug fixes, another 3 for enhancements, and 2 others. I can explain about them in the following slides. So there was a bug when we add and remove a tag from the group form page, and Gilbert had made a few checks in this component to fix this bug. Next slide. Another PR from Gilbert fixing a bug on the control action form pages. The action type tag receives an undefined value when the user don't select a tag value and then tries to hit the submit. So this PR adds a placeholder to the select field, forcing the user to select the value before hitting the submit button. Next slide. This PR is related to another bug fix on the control events page. So the search URL and URL action wasn't really defined in the UI Classic repo, and Gilbert ensured that the search request is handled properly. Next slide. David added links to the ports table in the container projects, and when you click on the link, it would take you to the port summary page. Also, he added in a small CSS change to the containers by adding scroll bars that makes the table stay inside the containers. Next slide. This is an enhancement PR to reduce the size of the buttons in the data tables that was a bit bigger by default, and it was consuming a lot of vertical space. We changed the default button size to small and saved some of the space. Next slide. Gilbert saved the filter options for the request page in the session variable so that when a user navigates back to this page after applying the filter, it will show up the previous ones. Next slide. And for the others, Jason updated code climate channel to the latest in the Manage IQ style. And finally, Joe updated UI JSON language files from March. That's all from the UI side. Over to Adam.
Thanks, Jeffrey. For providers this sprint, Nasser was able to remove some special logic in SSA scanning as part of some of the fixes that he was doing in the overt and rev provider. So we're able to delete some conditionals here in core, which is great. For Amazon, they added a new instance type. And for Kubernetes, we fixed a failure validating and using the Prometheus metrics endpoint. An updated version of the URI gem was causing Prometheus to use essentially localhost 80 as a proxy. And obviously the connection was failing due to that. And so we're able to fix that up. And then after that, we added some specs covering all of the verify credential endpoint types and a test that would have caught that previous failure. Next slide. For IBM Cloud, they override the method that Prometheus used. So we also fixed that in IBM Cloud to make sure that it didn't have the same problem as Kubernetes and OpenShift. For overt, Nasser added a controller prefix, sorry, to the dislocation. What we found was when you ran a smart state scan on Rev, it was duplicating the disks for every VM because you were getting a disk with, for example, location 0, which was created by refresh, and then location 0:0, which was created by smart state. So by updating refresh to match what smart state is creating, we were able to fix that problem of duplicating disks. And now smart state is updating the existing disk records. And finally, for VMware, we fixed a missing log service name for the Rails event, the non-Rails event catcher. this was showing up just as the default Manage IQ service name in the Journal CTL logs, and so it wasn't showing with the rest of the regular EVM logs. So we got that fixed up. And that is it for providers. Over to Joe.
Thanks, Adam. For platform improvements this sprint, Sudhir updated the operator to be able to support an OpenTofu runner image. Next, Adam continued his work on the non-Rails worker by marking them as stopped so that the worker cleanup can be done when the workers are gone. Keenan aliased the EVM server D as ManageIQ.service so we can normalize on a more consistent ManageIQ name. Jason moved the RPM copying into a separate image to decrease wasted space between layers if you wanted to make that shareable between different layers. Brandon dropped the unused PG audit RPM from the Postgres container. Adam dropped the return value from sync workers and sync starting workers as it wasn't needed and was actually more complicated. Adam also dropped the no longer used program name from file from the VMDB logger. I provided some of the translations for other languages. Jason and Brandon made several Jammer library updates, Yard, the appliance, Ginkgo, and Kafka. Jason changed the order of the container env values for readability. Jason also updated CI to use Ruby 3.1 and Podify, and he dropped the deprecated maintainer Docker command. Next slide. For platform bugs, Jason fixed the manifest generation in Podify by allowing it to see local RPMs. Adam bumped the appliance console version to fix the EVM server D disabled bug. I removed an unused method put in the incorrect scope. Jason cleaned up the results PDF title escape. Adam fixed a socket get host by name deprecation warning. Brandon removed scripts and files no longer used with EL9. Adam fixed an issue where we weren't enabling EVM server D service after configuring the DB and messaging. And Brandon removed the network configuration from the appliance console. Next slide.
All right, and that's all for our Sprint 233 review. Our next review, Sprint 234, is on April 3rd at the usual place and time. Actually, I think it's daylight savings time now. And that is all for our presentation this week. I want to thank all our presenters today, all our community members, and everybody out there. Thanks a lot.